So you want to know why most musicians will burn out before they blow up? It's because they skip the boring foundational steps that lead to a sustainable career. So here's 5 mindset shifts and pieces of advice that I wish someone told me when I first started in music. These are in no particular order, but the first one I want to talk about is owning the means of production. You need to be able to make your own music without relying on other people. You need to be able to make your own content without relying on other people. You need to be able to plan, organize, essentially do everything for yourself in the beginning without relying on other people. I've seen a lot of artists burn out in regards to collaboration. I've seen a lot of artists burn out in regards to the amount of content that they have to output. But more often than not, where I see artists and producers really struggle is in the collaborative space, dealing with other people on a daily basis. Because like most of you guys in music are fucking dropkicks. It might be because I'm in the hip hop sphere mainly, but there's so many wankers around, man. So being collaborative is amazing, but having your work and your career reliant on other people is not. And it's a very simple yes/no question to understand if you're reliant on someone or not. If I remove this person from the equation of my career, will my momentum suffer? Right? Will what I've built, will I take 2 steps back? If I remove this person from my career, if so, to any level, you are relying on that person. And even, I mean, in my experience especially, you can really feel like you can rely on some people and they just, 1 minute they're there, next minute they're gone. That's how music is. That's just how music is. So one of the things that I really wish someone told me when I first started is, hey, work with other people, learn from other people, take advice and knowledge from other people, but never, ever directly tie what you do and your capacity and what you can show people to others. Never tie it to others. Learning people, learning how to read people and understand who you want in your corner and keep people happy for an extended period of time and get what you want as an artist. You can manipulate people in a way where everybody walks away happy, right? Manipulation is changing other people's behavior based on giving them information, okay? Don't lie to people and do it ethically. You know, manipulation has a very negative connotation to it. So now let's talk on your mindset. The world lags a year or 2 behind you, and it fucking sucks. You do things, you put them out into the world, you start changing yourself and becoming better and working. The universe doesn't care for 2 years. Universe sometimes doesn't care for 10 years, it sometimes doesn't care for 6 months. That's actually the worst bit, is that we don't know how long people are not going to give a shit for. So we need to work towards frameworks and systems which allow us to continually output with an unknown time frame. That's it. Yeah, with an unknown time frame. We don't know when it's going to work, right? All we know is that we can either stop when it gets hard or we can keep doing the thing until the thing works. It's about as simple as that. And where I see a lot of artists struggle is they don't internalize this until it's too late and they've already quit. They don't understand before they start or while they're doing it that it isn't a matter of if you have good music or not. It's a matter of 100 different skills that you need to get good at in order to show the world that you have good music or not. And then the music's the decider, right? A music career, music is 50% of that, right? You have the music and then you have the career, okay? And it does start with good music. That's the craziest multiplier on top of everything, right? It's 50% of the fucking thing is music. Anything times 0 is still 0. If you have shit music and amazing skills, no one's going to listen to it. If you have great music and shit skills, nobody's going to listen to it. So you have, especially when you first start, a whole bunch of cringe mountains that you have to climb. I love that video from The Theory of One. It's a great video. I'll link it actually. Go watch that one. You have so many mountains and just obstacles and hurdles and skills that you need to get good at and climb over just to put your music in front of the right people. And a lot of artists don't internalize this before they start or at any point in their career until it's too late. So the world does lag behind you in who you are, but it doesn't mean that you need to believe it at any point, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So there was another thing that I sort of touched on here, and this is a little bit of a side tangent that comes back and ropes into these two concepts that I talked about. And then we'll move on to some other things. So in order to be consistent, you just need to develop frameworks to output on a regular basis, regular time intervals, and you need to not do anything else. I love it when Hormozy says that like consistency and dedication or motivation, one of the three, is just the elimination of alternatives. It's just, I'm not doing anything else. This is it. Until it works or I die, this is the thing. Now, when you start thinking in that time frame and you start thinking with those sort of extended horizons, anything becomes possible. Like, you're not talking about 5-year plans, 3-year plans. That's cute. You're talking about 20-year plans. You're talking about 10-year plans. You're talking about things that you have absolutely no right trying to guess because the world could just blow up, right? So in the case the world doesn't blow up, which I want to say is likely, you're going to have the foundations and you're going to have the framework set in order to consistently output for a period of time where it is unreasonable to assume that nobody will notice you. And you will not have figured out a way to do it effectively, if not more effectively than everybody else in the space by that time. That's what motivation is. That's what dedication is. That's what consistency is. It's, take this content, for example. This is the first one I'm filming, right? I do this one. I get it done. Then I figure out how do I do more of that at a point where I can output at the rate that I want to output. And then I go and fucking do it. I test it and I see if it works and I'll iterate on it. But it's about getting the thing up and moving and getting into a rhythm and understanding you are doing nothing else until this job is finished. And then you'll be consistent. And then you'll be determined and you'll be motivated without motivation. So awesome. Now we understand that we need to own the means of production to be consistent. And we basically know what consistency looks like. It's, I'm doing this thing. Keep that in your head. So talking point number 3 is backlog, backlog, backlog. It is so difficult. And honestly, I think you have to be really, really lucky to be able to be consistent if you don't have a backlog of work to put out. Life happens, guys. Shit happens. You will have obligations come up. Somebody gets sick in another country. Maybe someone fucking dies. Like, you might get sick. Shit happens. You might lose a job. When life does this to you, it's teaching you a lesson when it does it to you for the first time. And hopefully by me telling you this, you won't get bitten as bad as I did. Like, I'm starting literally from nothing again. It's fucking brutal, right? It's brutal. But anyway, when life fucks you, if you have a backlog of 3 to 6 months of content, right? Like savings in your fucking account, you know, your bank account, which you should also have a backlog of, by the way, if you're a musician. You have to pay for ads and shit. You have to pay for studio time. Maybe something comes out, a piece of equipment or a door, plugins if you're a producer. Like, you can't, if you're in music and you're running on paycheck to paycheck, that's your number one concern, is fixing that. If you haven't started, which is who I'm aiming this for, is the guys who want to get into music, and you're living paycheck to paycheck already and you're in debt, you have no chance. Right? You don't know how expensive this shit is. It's expensive. Like, my first album, it was 7 tracks and I got like a 60% discount. I was a great client. The engineer, we were fucking mates at the time. Like, that thing was 60% off for me. And it still cost me $3,900 all up. Like, 60% off, 7 tracks. That's expensive, right? When you're making $20 an hour on a fucking farm. That's expensive, okay? So you need a backlog of money. And that's not even touching on advertising, by the way. That's not touching on the content. That's not touching on the art. That's not touching on the distribution. That's not touching on... What else is it not touching on? Actually, I think that's really all your expenses at the start. Oh yeah, except for fucking living. Anyway, the point is that you need 3 to 6 months of content and music saved just somewhere. And you need to go through and regularly put songs that just don't make the cut, like just don't make the cut, into that category. Okay, that's what that category is used for. And not only that, but the preparedness mindset allows you to get better at what you're doing faster. By sitting down and just backlogging, like what I'm doing now with 50 different scripts and 50 different videos and a course, I'm just sitting here. I'm not putting anything out. I'm just filming it all. I'm just editing it. I'm just writing it. Months and months of work just in backlogging. When you do 10x and 20x the work, you get 10x and 20x the result, right? And not only that, but you get there faster. You're not taking your mind out of these actions. I'm sitting here, I'm making content until I'm fucking finished making content, right? I write scripts until I'm finished writing scripts. I sat there for fucking 16 days in Adobe Illustrator, 16 days straight in Adobe Illustrator, software I had not opened up before, until I wrote a brand book from start to finish that represented my brand. And it looks fucking amazing, right? Because that's all I did for half a month, was sit in that software and learn. That's how you get good at shit. You don't get good at shit by doing a little bit one day and a little bit another and a little bit next week. It's like, no, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to learn the skill that I need to learn. And then I'm going to do that thing 5 or 6 different times until it's a muscle that I never ever forget. I just have to give a slight reminder as to how it works. And that's a mental state thing. That's not an ability thing. So yeah, fuck off your hat switching, man. Like, just get rid of it. Stick to one task and do it. Backlog from start to finish, get it done. And when you feel this weight come off your shoulder, you're able to take risks, right? Because you have the backlog in case it doesn't matter. You're able to fuck off and do a tour because you have the backlog. You're able to just relax. You're able to go on a holiday and not worry, right? It's a weight off your shoulder. Not only that, makes you look professional as fuck whenever you're networking. Become a vessel for knowledge is the last one. Become a fucking sponge. If you're a producer or a musician, especially if you're just starting, and especially if you're young, your only goal is to learn stuff that makes you more valuable to be around. Music is one of those fields where you don't need to have a degree to be at the top. It helps when you're first starting, like everything. But in music, you just do the job and you do it right, or you don't do it right. You get people moving or you don't get them moving. You produce a good mix. Fuck. Or you don't produce a good mix. So the only thing you need to be doing if you're a young artist or a young producer is just learning shit that makes you valuable. Understand how the music that you like, by the way, because if you have a brand and that's authentic to you, you're going to generally be targeting people that you like, people that are like you, sorry. You just work and learn until you become an absolute, like people start asking you, hey, what do I do? When people start asking you, that's when you've learned. That's when you know you've got something. And this also goes back to, let's say you weren't prepared like I was. Your skills and your abilities are the only thing that's transferable from saves. To just say it like a fucking nerd, it's the only thing that's transferable from saves. If everything just disappears one day, you still keep your skills and you still keep your abilities. So if your skills and abilities are what generates you money, how the fuck are you ever not going to be able to eat? And not only that, but skills, man, they compound too. Being good at sales is one thing, but being good at sales and understanding marketing and understanding branding and understanding how to produce and understanding how to mix and master and track vocals properly. Completely lost art, by the way. I need to show you guys how to fucking track vocals properly, set people up and shit. It's abysmal, the takes that get sent to me. You should be ashamed. And the only way that you can get good at so many skills is you just need to develop general frameworks for learning. You just need to figure out how you learn, right? And then you need to be able to generalize that, abstract it out, and apply it to fucking anything. And I know that like most of you are music kids and you took music in high school so that you could feel normal not doing any math classes, right? But the reality is, if you want to be able to grow as fast as possible, you're going to have to be able to learn as fast as possible. So I've got a list right here. Let me just rattle off some things that you're going to have to learn in music that you don't really expect when you first start. You're going to have to learn to sell, develop products, market and advertise, brand, collaborate, legal jargon. You're going to have to learn personal and basic business finances, shooting and editing content, your business structure, maintenance and funnels, and Oh yeah, yeah, cool. That's it. That's excluding the whole fucking music thing and everything else you need to do in your life or your career that you're doing to actually make money while you're not doing all of these things that aren't related to the little part of this music bit that you want to do. But that's the difference between doing music and having a music career is that career bit. Like what we said before, it's the career bit. So treat it like a fucking career. Unfortunately, you're going to have a job while you learn the new job. And there's going to be no one teaching you. So you're going to have to figure out how to learn it. That's why developing your own frameworks for learning is super, super fucking important. And it's one of the first things that everybody needs to do, even before you start making content and batching and backlogging, is that you need to learn how to learn if you haven't already. So the next one I want to talk about is scaling. You need to scale without debt. You need to scale with the right documentation and planning. You need to scale with the right goals in mind. Oftentimes I'll see people try to take workloads off by like hiring their friends to edit content, or maybe going to like branding and marketing agencies when they first start to like get their stuff known. Generally, I think this is a big fucking mistake, especially when you're new. Number one, when you're new, your music generally isn't good enough. Okay. It's just not good enough to compete. That's how it is. Okay. Developing music that's hot enough is a skill. That's a skill. And some people just cannot develop that skill no matter how hard they try. They have some mental blocker, some self-imposed mental blocker where they just can't learn this shit. I don't understand. Like, you can learn anything, bro. Unless you can't, in that case. Womp womp. That's generally a big mistake, hiring agencies and hiring your friends, because you don't get to put in the reps for starters. You don't get to learn the skill yourself. You don't get to develop standards that you want to maintain around this specific skill whenever you start to bring people on. And not only that, like, especially with agencies, you get what you pay for most of the time. And when you're a newer artist, you just can't pay good agencies. And not only that, good agencies will actually look at you and go, we're not going to be able to help you, bro. You have way too many holes in your bucket, And if you're hiring friends, that's also cool if they're competent and they're able to tell you when you're like just something really ain't it, and they're in the same sort of wavelength and game that you're in. But you've also got to take into the account the risk. It's like you're bringing money into the relationship now, and that imposes risk. Right? It puts stress on the relationship unless you can really trust yourself and this other person not to fuck each other in any way, shape, or form, not to even let each other feel like the other person's fucking them. That's the hardest bit. You might not be fucking anybody, but you've got to be very aware what their perception of this situation is the entire time. So what do you do, and how do you actually start doing this? So the first thing I would consider as a musician is, am I good enough for a team, right? Like, have I already generated hype? And I mean like hype. I don't mean like, I have 100 monthlies. That's amazing for starters. If you can get over 100 monthlies, you're better than 95% of artists already on Spotify. But I'm talking like momentum, and momentum doesn't come from monthlies, by the way. Momentum comes from the like aggregate of your platforms and what you work on, and just the general hype around you within whatever time frame you have decided to be reasonable. So the first thing you need to do is understand, am I good enough? Do I have enough hype to even warrant me going out and starting to give people money to help? The second thing is, do you actually need people to help you, or do you just need to do a better job? Like actual, do you need people, or do you need better systems? Have you actually sat down and looked at how you work and how you plan yourself and how you go about doing projects? Because if you haven't, I would start there before I start trying to offload shit to people. If you haven't even got the frameworks down, by the way, you're not going to be able to teach people how to do shit the way you do them. You're just going to know how to do it. How are you supposed to offload your knowledge onto someone else if you don't have like a formal set of guidelines that you can put in front of them and follow together and show them how it's done consistently and repeatably? It's like, no one is ever able to do that just off the top of their head, teaching it to someone, unless they've taught this thing a million times. And again, who am I talking to right now? Myself, 2.5 years ago. I haven't done this a million times, so I need to document, and so do you. You fuck. And you need to document your shit like, and again, I have another list. What are the next 12 months of your release looking like? What are your content strategies, your budgets and projected costs, your target audience and your ad analytics and your data traffics and how your shit's converting? You need to be able to work out all of this, by the way, like all of it. And just like a pro tip as well, one thing that's helped me is you template everything while you're doing this. As you're doing things, your first attempt at the thing should be the hardest and the most time consuming, because you've spent a lot of that time making sure every single project from this point on in this specific field, doing this specific thing, is repeatable quickly because I have templates, right? And templates take time to make, because not only do you have to make the thing, but then you have to wipe it all and make it a consistent and reusable format. You have to get all of the kinks out because you don't want them repeated in every single fucking project. There's no point in making a template if the template's fucked, people. I see this all the time. Why are your templates fucked? Mixing engineers. Oh, because I use them and I know how to fix it. Bro, no. Just fix it and save it, and then you won't have to fix it. You can forget that skill, right? Save some headspace, save some time. So anyways, establish systems and establish fucking processes before you even consider hiring people. And if you have them, look at them. How can they be better? Am I dumb, right? Have I fucked something up on paper? Oops. Well, guess what? You can't see it until it's all there in front of you, man. So get it all there in front of you. You know what I'm saying? So let's say that you have gone through this process. You're like, this is like, I'm running a tight ship. If I have to edit another piece of content, I'm going to throw myself off a fucking bridge. Or I'm running a tight ship and I'm starting to burn out. There's parts of this job that I just take too long and I just can't get under control. At that point, it's like, let's look at paying someone else to take some of this workload off, because we have the documentation. We know exactly what we're doing. We can teach this person from start to finish how to fucking work, right? How to do the job that we want at the expectations that we want. And we can set those expectations and boundaries before we work with them. So in music, it's very, very rare that we hire our first people to make us money. Generally, we hire these people to save us time in a creative space so that we are freed up in order to go make more money, right? We are able to go organize branding and merch drops because we hire an editor. We are able to do more content because we hire a producer, which, by the way, artists, if you're not paying a producer and you're just like a songwriter or a strummer and shit, and you don't actually have an engineering background and you haven't taken the time to learn engineering and how to mix and how to do basic mastering and vocal editing, like proper work, not like put an 1176 on it, and then an LA2A, and then I'm gonna put a Fairchild, and these three compressors are gonna smooth out my vocals, so I don't need to vocal edit, because yeah, no, I'm talking like proper engineering. Because what you'll get by paying a proper engineer to do it from day dot, by the way, is you get to sit with them and you get to understand their process from day dot. And that's the knowledge that you're after. You can teach yourself mixing, right? But you're not going to do it very fast if you're doing it on your own. Everyone, including myself, who has gotten good at that skill fast, and by the way, mixing has an infinite skill ceiling. It's one of those things that you can just go forever, but who have gotten objectively good, like good enough to sell our services fast, is because we've all just paid the money to sit with people, or our brothers have done it or whatever, and we've just sat with them and watched for an extended period of time. And then we've gone off and we've replicated before we've iterated on the process. And then I guess the other consideration is hire the people who make you hate your job the most. No, that's terrible. Don't say that. Hire the people who fulfill the roles that you hate the most. If there are things that at the start of your career, you were like, I did not know this was on the table. I hate this. This is shit. For me, it's content. Content's cool when I'm figuring it out, but when I've gotten to like editing the 50th short and I'm 6 hours in, eyes are hanging out of my skull, like you cannot numb yourself out of like the editing coma. I've tried. You can't do it. So like the first prick I'll be hiring, because I'm a producer, artist, brander, marketer, whatever, I have all these skills under my belt, I'm going to be hiring people who take away me hating my fucking job. Once my studio's built and the construction's finished there, the first prick I'm going to be hiring in the music space will be someone to do the vocal editing for me, right? The mix prep and the vocal editing will be an intern, okay? Because I fucking hate that. But it's necessary to get a good quality product. And you only learn that if you sit with an engineer, by the way, artists. No one tells you to vocal edit. You got to vocal edit before you put any plugins on. You got to make sure the performance is as good as it can be. Just raw, just with volume, the fucking timing shift keys, and Melodyne, right? That's all you need to be using in the first steps. Get the best performance you can. Also, talking about scaling, one of the most important parts to scaling appropriately, effectively, and consistently is your branding, right? If you don't have a formalized document, and it doesn't have to be a beautiful document when you first start, right? I just go overboard with shit. But if you don't have a document that says, this is my tone of voice that I'm using, this is my character that I'm trying to portray, this is the world that I'm trying to build, and the subliminal narratives that I'm trying to tell, the framing that I use for my content, my transitions, my logo, my word mark, my color scheme, this is the fashion that I use and the symbolism. You think the book's behind me? This and you think my logos are fucking, that's the wrong arm. You think my logos are fucking a coincidence? You set shit up intentionally. You think I'm just wearing a fucking wife beater because that's what I had on when I was doing content? No, I like to look like a fuckwit. Your brand, you need to have a brand to scale properly, because without a brand, it's so difficult to have an image that is consistent enough where people trust you. You're trying to build trust. You're trying to provide value over and over again. And by having a brand, you supercharge that, because you know that when people see your content and they get value from that, you know exactly what bucket they're putting their fucking trust in. That's your brand with these colors and these things. It's very clearly identifiable. You speak in a certain way. People can hear you. That's part of your brand. That's part of your tonality. Oh, and stay the fuck away from agencies. I just have that written right here. Don't fuck with agencies. What's the reason there? Oh yeah, that's actually a good reason. So go work with individuals. Individuals give you a lot more. You can provide a lot more value yourself to an individual. You can build reciprocating relationships. You can use each other to, you know what I'm saying? Just keep building. So I'd stay away from agencies. Generally, they're too expensive when you even start as well, unless you're looking at agencies that aren't really worth it. And you should also, again, learn these fucking skills yourself. So if you're in that starting phase of being an artist and you gained value from this video, you've had a mindset shift and your behavior has actually changed based off what I've said, I'd like you to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and send this to someone who you think would actually benefit from it. Give us a boost in the algorithm. That's all. Have a great night.